Overthinkers. My name is Courtney and welcome to the Overthinker Guide. So if you saw the title of this video, you might be someone who hasn't cruised before and you're just like, I don't know if that's my thing, or you might be someone trying to convince someone to go on a cruise. So I'm hoping this video can help change people's minds about cruising, or at least reconsider going on a cruise. So we're gonna get into some of the reasons why people aren't cruising, and I'll kind of share some counter arguments, and I'll share my reasons why you should go on a cruise or at least consider it. So here's one reason that I've heard why someone hasn't gone on a cruise, and they'll say, well, I can't swim. I can't swim. I actually get really scared. Every time there was a pool party as a kid, people would try to teach me how to swim, and even just me like lying on my back, I freak out because I feel like I'm falling and nothing is there to catch me. So I cannot swim, but that's not stopping me from getting on the cruise. It's not going to be like the Titanic. Ships have come a long way since then. The scenario that it does happen where something happens on the cruise ship, they have lifeboats, they have life jackets for you to use. So not being able to swim is fine. But if you're truly concerned about it, take some swimming lessons. That's what I'm planning on doing this year, is to finally take some swimming lessons and hopefully get over that panic, because I love the water, but I can't get myself to float. Another reason, and I actually think this is the one I hear the most, is there's nothing to do on the ship or it's boring. I think that there's a lot to do on the ship. It does depend on which ship you choose that matches your vibe more. So if you're wanting to go on a cruise and go on the ships that you're seeing on these commercials or these ads, you're gonna probably want to go on their newest ship, because that's usually what they're promoting, right? But if you go on an older ship, a ship that's like 20 years old, there may not be all of those frills and water slides, go-karting, things like that. So that is why I would suggest definitely research the ship if that's what you're worried about. I tend to care more about the destination than the ship itself, but if you are concerned about that on your sea days, if you have any sea days, definitely research the ship and you'll kind of figure out things to do. There's also, even if there's not like water slides, rock climbing, or mini golf, which I think most cruise ships have something of those. They have games, they have trivia, they have competitions, scavenger hunts, they have nightlife. I just feel like you'll find something to do on the cruise, even if it's just, relaxing by the pool with a great view. I will say, like I said, it is important to research that ship that matches your vibe, because that could make or break your cruise experience. So I get more into it in the vlog about the differences and what to expect. And kind of on the same tip that there's nothing to do, that it's boring. Sometimes they'll say there's nothing to do at the port, or the excursions are too expensive, so they're not gonna, do any of them. Or they'll say that they don't want to do an excursion at every port, because understandably that gets expensive. Like, I try not to do an excursion at every port because I don't got money like that, and I just want to chill sometimes. This is where I would say researching the port is important, because if you're not researching, you're not going to know what there is to do once you get there. So if you've decided to go on a cruise, you see your itinerary and you know all of the different places that you're going to be going to. If you're looking at some places and you found like, oh, I want to do this excursion, or I can make space in my budget for this excursion, but I don't like any of the excursions in this port, or they're too expensive, then that is the port that you should research, just to find out if there's anything to do or anything to see. There's more than likely a beach nearby that you can visit. You can try to walk around in the city that you're visiting, see if there's any museums locally, or if there's street art you can look at, or you can even go shopping. So I would definitely try to research the port. Google is your friend in this case. You can also still check out TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, to find out what there is to do at the ports. Now, but again, you just need to know the city that you're in, and you will also need to track how far things are. So just keep that in mind. But definitely research it, because you'll be able to find something to do. Okay. Another reason that someone may decide not to go on a cruise is that they don't have a passport. Now, the good thing about most cruises, or most cruise lines rather, is that you don't have to have a passport. You can just use your birth certificate. Virgin Voyages, they do require a passport. I don't see them even asking for a birth certificate. They're only asking for a passport. But for the other cruise lines like Carnival, Royal Caribbean, they'll accept a birth certificate. That being said, I think it's still easier just to do everything with the passport. So I think if you're able to go on the cruise, I would just go ahead and spend the money on the passport, because it's going to last you for 10 years. So I would just go ahead and get the passport personally, but you can use a birth certificate to get on cruises. Another reason people decide not to go on cruises is that they'll say it's too expensive. I beg to differ. I actually think cruising can be a more cost-effective way to travel, especially if you're going to multiple places. You get more bang for your buck that way. But I also have a comparison, and it's actually in the blog below, for a 3-day trip to the Bahamas if you're just going there by land, and then a 3-day cruise to the Bahamas. So I'll have that breakdown, and I'll see if I can just post a picture here of the table I made. But if you look at the table, the cruise is over $500 cheaper. Now, it can get pricey if you start adding on a bunch of things like a drink package, internet package, and specialty dining, which is the food is free on cruises, but if you want to eat at the slightly nicer restaurants, that would be specialty dining. So it can add up, and then I'll also think about gratuity. But even with that added up, it would probably equal the same as the land trip if you're getting your balcony room, or balcony room to balcony room for the hotel that you're staying at, and then the cruise. Based on that table, the prices can vary for both cruise and land because of the type of hotel that I chose and the type of cabin that I chose on the cruise and cruise line. So those prices can vary, but you'll most likely find a cheaper cruise because you'll be going to more places if you're going to having multiple stops. So I just think it's more cost effective. So the next two reasons that I've seen people say that someone has actually said to me, they are a bit more reasonable. And it's very hard for me to do a counter argument because I agree on one of them. So they'll sometimes say it's bad for the environment. And yep, it is bad for the environment. And I feel so bad. But cruise lines are working on trying to make cruising more sustainable and more environmentally friendly. So at least they're working towards that. I know that that's not going to be enough to potentially get somebody who is saying it's bad for the environment on a cruise. But it's just something to think about, that they're trying to work towards making this a better experience for the ocean, air quality, and all of that. Right? And then the last reason that I've heard someone say, and that I've seen said, is that they feel claustrophobic or trapped on the ship. And that I understand. You're out in the middle of the ocean. I get it. And that one I don't have a counter argument for, because if you feel very uncomfortable, I would rather you not go on the cruise than go on the cruise and potentially feel stressed the entire time. So that one I can understand also. Now, we talked about reasons why people aren't going on a cruise, and so now I want to talk about why you should go on a cruise. It might be a little bit repetitive on some of my counter arguments. I just feel like everyone should go on at least one cruise in their life, short or long. I would say shorter for your first cruise, just to see how you like it. For my first reason, I've said it already, but you're seeing multiple places in one trip depending on your itinerary. So like my first really long cruise, my mom took me to Barcelona, Spain, and we took a cruise out of there, and we went to France and then 3 cities in Italy. So we visited all of these places in one trip. Granted, I don't know how much it cost because I was in high school, so I wasn't really looking at it, but I know it cost a lot. But it would have been more expensive if we had gone to Barcelona, stayed at a hotel, gone to Nice, France, stayed at a hotel, gone to Italy, stayed at a hotel, gone to another city in Italy, stayed at a hotel. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean earlier, that it's too expensive. It's more cost effective because you're seeing so many places. And I've actually seen someone comment on a Facebook group I'm in that they go on cruises to kind of get a taste of a place if they're considering visiting there for a land trip, and then they'll go, if they really liked it, they'll go back for a longer trip on land. So you could also use cruising like that, which I actually think is really smart. So the next reason is more so for my foodies. You get free food on a floating hotel. So like I said, because you're able to visit all of these places, you're not having to get a hotel for each place you're visiting, so it's convenient in that way that your place that you're staying is also your form of transportation, and you get free food on top of that, so you can eat as much as you want. If you want to upgrade to the specialty dining package, if it's offered, or if you just want to try out one special restaurant and pay a little extra, you can do that. But the food, majority of the food that's not, well, not even majority, the food that's not specialty dining is free. And for the most part, it is decent. There are some times where it's like the specialty dining is worth it, but you get to try all of these different foods that you've never tried before, which I'm leaning into one of the other reasons. But free food on a floating hotel, that's one of my main reasons I like the food. Another reason why I think you should go, and this is more so for my outgoing people, this doesn't really apply to me, this particular reason, but you get to meet new people, or you can keep to yourself. But if you like meeting new people, I think cruising is a great way to do that. So when you're going to a hotel, you may or may not see someone every so often while you're there for a certain period of time, right? But on a cruise, you're with these people pretty much 24/7 until you get off the ship and go exploring. But even then, you might see those same people on an excursion. And you know, when you start recognizing a familiar face, you might spark up a conversation. And then also when it comes to dining, if you don't choose to dine with just your cabin or people that you know, or using the buffet, if you're going to the main dining room, you're normally assigned table mates, and they're going to be your table mates throughout the rest of the cruise, and you can make friendships that way. So there's plenty of opportunities to meet new people from all over, really. And I'm thinking of just the cruise ship, but you can meet new people when you get there to your different destinations also. So if you like meeting new people, I think that cruising is a great way to do that. And another reason, which I've already touched on a little bit, is that you can experience new things. So of course, when you're going on a cruise, especially if it's your first time, that's a new experience in and of itself, right? You can also go on a cruise, you're going to new places that you've never been to before. You might be trying food you've never had before, which I talked about earlier. And you might be doing different activities that you've never done before. Like for Royal Caribbean, they have what is it called? I'll put the name of it, it's blanking right now. I'm blanking what it's called right now. But they have a surf simulator. You may have never gone surfing or used a surf simulator before. They have the opportunity for you to try that out. I believe one of these cruise ships have indoor skydiving. If you've never done that before, that's an opportunity to do it. You can do that on land too, but you can do it on the cruise ship also. My mom had a couple of new experiences on our most recent cruise. By the time this comes out, we're technically on our most recent cruise, but the one in Lavity, she did mini golfing for the first time. She did rock climbing for the first time. And she did laser tag for the first time. So those are all of her first from our cruise. My manager from my day job She went on her first cruise recently, and she went ziplining for the first time, and she loved it. My dad on the last, well, actually no, by the time this comes out, he would have gone on another cruise. But my dad on a cruise that he went on, he went hiking up a volcano for the first time. So there's just a lot of opportunity for new experiences on cruises. Well, I might be shooting myself in the foot here, but technically you get new experiences when you travel anywhere, right? But I think cruising is also just a good way to experience new things. Now this last one is for me. Maybe not everyone cares about this, but the sunrise and sunsets on cruises are great. So I always wake up really early in the morning. I wake up early anyway, but I wake up really early in the morning to catch the sunrise on cruises because I'm out in the middle of the ocean. There's nothing blocking my view. I can just watch the sunrise, and that's probably one of my favorite things to do to start the day on a cruise. I would like to watch the sunset also, but normally I'm eating dinner at that time. And if I'm not seated near a port window or one that seated somewhere where that has the view of the ocean, I miss the sunset. But I'm always going to catch the sunrise. The view is, you can't compare it. Those are reasons why you should consider cruising. So I'm wondering if this got you to rethink just a little bit. If it did, let me know in the comments. If it didn't, let me know in the comments. I'm really curious if there's any other reasons why people aren't cruising. It could just be that if you're terrified of water. I get that. Don't put yourself through that situation. I'm technically terrified of water also, but I really love cruising and I love looking at water. I just don't want to be in it. But yes, let me know what you thought of this video in the comments. If you're an avid cruiser, what are your favorite things to kind of convince people to go on cruises with you? Or what's your favorite thing about cruising? If you could put what your favorite things are about cruising in the comments, that'd be great. And if you like this video, please leave a like down below. Consider subscribing to see more videos like this. The next video will be for first-time cruisers, so if maybe this video did convince you, or maybe somebody in the comments convinced you to go on a cruise, I'll have some tips in the next video. But until then, I will see you later, Overthinkers.